So today, my friends, we are solving Five Nights at Freddy's, okay? There's something that I have uncovered that I think the FNAF community ought to know, that I think they should know. I think it's their God-given right to know. So that's why I'm making this video, to spread the word, okay? Many people have tried to solve the Five Nights at Freddy's lore, and few have succeeded. Me. Now, Freddy Fazdumpy Fazbear, if that's his real name, is well known for participating in capitalism. I mean, the man's got a book series. He's got at least one game. I think there might be two. I don't really know. There's games, I think. And also, there's gotta be stuff like arcade plushies and keychains, I'm sure. So because of this, the lore can be very hard to decipher, because you got so many different sources, and what happens when they contradict each other? You know, what are we supposed to do in that situation? Well, they don't know I know this secret, but if you only focus on one of the games, the lore becomes a lot easier to solve. Which brings us to FNAF 2. Now, FNAF 2 is a game that was released after FNAF 1, but before FNAF 3. And it seems like a game that expands on the mechanics that worked well in Five Nights at Freddy's. More animatronics and stuff. I never played the game, so I was too scared as a kid. However, I discovered something that will be astronomical for the Five Nights at Freddy's community, okay? Did you know there's secret minigames that are secretly spelling out the lore of this place? Crazy. I know. You know, what I thought was a game about the horrors and dangers of working a minimum wage job is actually a story of murder. Mic drop. Now, these minigames are called Save Them, Give Gifts, Give Life, Take Cake to the Children, and Foxy Go, Go, Go. Now, these minigames give us insight into the horrors and the murders and the incidents that happened at Freddy Fazbear's. But wait a minute, who's that silly little fella? Who's that tiny little guy? Who's that silly goofy dude right there in the corner? What's he doing there? He's not supposed to be there. That's that silly little guy. Well, that, my friends, is currently theorized to be William Afton, which the fan wiki states. He was a wealthy businessman and inventor who secretly built animatronics to hunt and kill young children. His daughter, Elizabeth Afton, would be killed by one of the animatronics he built. His youngest son had unfortunately suffered the same fate. He becomes a serial killer dubbed Purple Guy. He also dressed up in a golden bunny suit and killed children and personally, that's against my moral compass. I don't know where you guys stand, but personally, I can't say I support these actions. Now, these assumptions about who Purple Guy is are fundamentally wrong. I mean, you know, the theorists do a really good job of combing through the lore and giving us a satisfying story at the end of the day, but they forgot one little detail. Humans aren't purple. So this has me thinking, who could Purple Guy be? I mean, who could possibly be committing all these murders if it's not William Afton? So I dedicated my foreseeable future to figuring out this mystery. You know, who is Purple Guy? I will find out who Purple Guy is. I will be the greatest theorist. My name will be in the history books, okay? I will do it. So I started this journey by writing down every single Purple Guy I could think of. If I had a list of all the Purple Guys, I just had to narrow it down. I just had to pick the one that made sense, the one that fit all of the lore. And I got to about 4, and I figured that was good enough. My suspects are Barney, the Purple Care Bear, Count Von Count, and Ursula. And with that, the detective work began. Now, the first thing I think of when I think of Barney is that twisted version of the theme song where it's like, I love you, you love me, let's go out and kill Barney. And then there's a line about a 2x4, no more purple dinosaur. I improvised a bit there, hope you don't mind. However, the second thing I think of when I think of Barney is the 2001 hit film, Let's Go to the Zoo. So during this film, Barney goes to the zoo, and wait a minute, did you know that the first modern zoo was in France and it was established in 1793? And what are the colors of the French flag again? That's right, red, blue, and white. And what happens when you mix all those colors together? You get purple, a light purple, but still purple. Purple as in Purple Guy? My theory was all coming together. Barney was our Purple Guy because Barney, linked to the zoo, linked to the French, linked back to Purple Guy. But this, my friends, is where the evidence took a turn. When we take the letters to Let's Go to the Zoo, and then we take out the letters that we need to spell the word hottest, because obviously that's what we would do, we are left with the phrase Lego Zoo. So the only logical thing to do at this point was to go to lego.com and search in the little search bar and type in zoo and see what comes up, and whoa, my friends, Quite the surprise came up. This led me to the set Gentle Giants Petting Zoo, which had the item number 10879, and this will start our list of important numbers, so I'll keep track of them for you so you don't have to remember them. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to take the letters that are in not purple guy, because we're trying to see if Barney's purple guy or not, and we're going to change those letters into numbers, A equals 1, B equals 2, so on and so forth. And if we add up all of these numbers, we get the number 190, and on to the important numbers list it goes. Now let's circle back to the hottest thing, which is surprisingly not me, am I right? Like, come on. Come on, that was a good one. That was a good one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my behavior. We'll continue. Now the element with the highest melting point, or the hottest melting point, is tungsten? Tungsten. 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 The atomic number for this element is 74, and if we take the 190 from before, we subtract 74 from it, we get 116. So if we go back to the Lego number set, we can subtract 10, 87, and then 9, and this leaves us with a grand total proving that Barney is not purple guy. 10? And when I got to this point, I was conflicted because the evidence was saying that Barney was purple guy because all of his clues didn't add up to not purple guy, so I guess he was, but that didn't feel right for me. In my soul, I knew that was not the right answer. My journey could not be over so quick, and so I went back to my calculations and realized I missed a vital step. Remember how I said that the first modern zoo was established in 1793? Well, as it turns out, this element was discovered in 1783, and what is that? 10 years apart. That is our missing 10. Barney's not purple guy. Barney wouldn't be purple guy. That would be horrible for his PR team. What was I thinking? Now, as a trip down memory lane, let's take it back to the days where we were counting animatronic toes and animatronic buttons, and let's take a look at the physical appearance of Harmony Bear and Purple Guy. Now, Harmony Bear has a white stomach with a flower on it, and honestly, she's killing it. She's slaying, she ate that. However, if we take a look at this so-called Purple Guy, we see that there is not a white belly in sight. Furthermore, if you even needed more evidence, if you take the letters of Harmony and you take away a few letters and then you add a few letters, you get the words, not purple guy. Honestly, what was I thinking? This accusation was awful. This was terrible. Whoever suggested this should really get fired. Now we move on to our vampire friend who might not actually be a vampire. The Sesame Street Workshop website says that he's a distant cousin of Dracula, but the book Sesame Street Unpaved describes him as a numerical vampire, but then the 2001 Sesame Street Muppets Drawing Guide states that the Count is not a vampire. So what is it, Sesame Street? Answer my question. How am I supposed to solve lore? The lore is convoluted and not straight. This is nothing like the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. The Five Nights at Freddy's franchise would never do such a thing to me. Would never be convoluted, would never be contradictory, would never do that to me. Now I believe in taking responsibility for my actions, and so that's what I'm doing right now. I don't know what came over me there. I'm not trying to excuse my actions. I know this is just, it just explains it, doesn't excuse it. Maybe the heat of the moment. I don't know why I would insinuate that Five Nights at Freddy's has easy lore. That's just a factually incorrect statement. It's just wrong. I was wrong, and I will try to do better in the future, I'll fact check myself, and that's what this is trying to be here, a fact check, so I want to set the record straight. I do not believe that Five Nights at Freddy's has easy lore to solve, which is why I'm here, that's kind of my whole purpose of making this video, was to set it right, so I'm sorry for my actions, and I'll do better in the future. So that's a mystery for another day, but let's get back to Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, the Count would be the perfect purple guy. There's so many things to count in Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Five Nights at Freddy's 4. However, do not let this deceive you, okay? The Count could never be purple guy. So the Count made his debut on Sesame Street in 1972, which means that the Count has lived on or near Sesame Street since 1972, which, as we all know, is located in Manhattan, New York. Where does Five Nights at Freddy's take place? Well, my friends, it takes place in Hurricane, Utah. How do I know this? I searched it up in the Google, and they said that that's where the book said it takes place, and that is where you see lawsuits in FNAF 6. And I'm trusting them. The missing children incident took place in 1985, and then other events also happened in the 80s, while the Count was living in New York City. The Count can't possibly be Purple Guy because the Count was living life and counting in New York City and not murdering children in Utah. He's clear. Now we have Ursula. Freddy Fazbear's is not located under the sea. Wait a minute. How could this be? If it's not Barney, if it's not Harmony Bear, if it is not Count Von Count, if it is not Ursula, then who can it be? I've exhausted all my purple guys. Did I make a mistake somewhere? Am I wrong? Am I just a fraud? I mean, who else is a purple guy that has a history of showing murderous intent and could hide their identity for so long and is purple? And oh my god, I've missed it. How could I have missed this for so long? I mean, it was staring me right in the face. It makes perfect sense. Grimace's birthday was but a PR stunt to distract us from his murder in the 80s. He even used to be known as the evil Grimace. I mean, here is evidence of the Grimace shake killing people. And here's evidence of Grimace just blatantly ignoring these allegations like it doesn't mean anything. Like, I think if you're accused of murder, you should maybe say something about it. Unless if you legally can't, I get that. But like, I guess you should be like put on trial. And so I could finally kick back and relax. I saw FNAF. I did it. I was the one person who could do it. But it felt too simple. Was our journey really over? Was that it? Just a single plot twist and everything is solved and it just fits perfectly like that? I mean, it felt too perfect, you know? It felt like a cover-up almost, because how could a story be this perfect? How could the solution be this simple? I mean, really, could this little guy who's just trying to celebrate his birthday be our cold stone killer? Well, if we dig a little bit into Grimace's family history, we uncover a secret. Uncle O'Grimacy. Meet Uncle O'Grimacy. He's Grimace's uncle from Ireland. He debuted in 1975 in order to promote the Shamrock Shake. However, interestingly enough, he sort of fizzled out in the 80s. I don't know, maybe perfect time to switch careers from promoting a Shamrock Shake to murdering children in Utah. And as I dug deeper, there were so many hints that linked Purple Guy and Uncle O'Grimacy together. One of the ads for the Shamrock Shake states, "'Tis the first green of spring." Spring, that's interesting. Spring like Springtrap? And wait a minute, isn't Uncle O'Grimacy Irish, as in the song There's No One as Irish as Barack Obama, which links Barack Obama's ancestry to the town of Moneygall? I don't know if it's pronounced Moneygall, I don't know. But let's break Moneygall into 2 points. Money as in the very thing that you get if you promote something, as in the very thing that Uncle O'Grimacy was doing. And gall as in bold or impudent behavior, and I don't know about you, but murder is certainly a bold action that does not show respect to people, just my opinion. I mean, it's even in the name itself. O'Grimacy, 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 O'Grim-I-C. And with all this evidence, I could finally put together the story. Uncle O'Grimacy has always been a jealous type. He wanted to be the best Grimace relative. He also has always had a thirst for violence. Uncle O'Grimacy was gifted the opportunity of a lifetime. He got his own shake on the McDonald's menu. And after his debut in 1975, Uncle O'Grimacy felt solidified in the fact that his shake would remain superior. Uncle O'Grimacy was the better Grimace relative because he had a shake that would come back every year. He was the best Grimace relative because he had the menu item. Grimace did not. Through his hubris, Uncle O'Grimacy decided that he no longer needed to promote his shake. It was popular on its own. It came back every year and the people loved it. So in an effort to quench the thirst for violence he had, he moved to Utah. Now, Uncle O'Grimacy was not a fool. He knew that if he was committing these heinous acts, he needed a disguise. He needed a way to ensure that he would remain unscathed while all the other purple grimaces would be framed. And all it took was a little purple dye. It's like I've always said, with a little purple dye, you can become a purple guy. Grimace would have no way of becoming popular because Grimace would be framed for the crimes that Uncle O'Grimacy committed. Now, as we know, Uncle O'Grimacy's plan didn't exactly fully work out because Grimace never got framed for these crimes. However, Uncle O'Grimacy did manage to never get caught for these crimes, so I guess that's a win for him. And just like that, time moved on. Uncle O'Grimacy never got caught, Grimace never got framed, and Uncle O'Grimacy's shake came back every year. He was still the popular Grimace. He still had the shake. Until now. Grimace finally got himself an item on the menu, and to celebrate his birthday nonetheless, a moment that Grimace was ecstatic for. He could not wait for everybody to try his perfectly crafted shake, his perfectly crafted meal. Uncle O'Grimacy heard of this, and boy was Uncle O'Grimacy jealous and mad. Time for another plan. Uncle O'Grimacy was not above murders. I mean, he did it in the 80s, and what a better plan than to poison all of his nephew's shake. He would remain on top, because who would love a Grimace who poisoned them? Their friends, their families. But I uncovered his secret, and I am telling the world about his secret. It is time that we defend Grimace. It is time that we stand up for what is right. It is time that we tell the world about the atrocities that Uncle O'Grimacy committed, for he is Purple Guy, and he should face the consequences. Now, I don't know where you stand, but I know that if you are a good person, if you know the difference between right and wrong, if you even care about the concept of justice, you will stand with Grimace. Thank you. I've been gripping that microphone so hard that like my hand hurts. I got really into that. Shake it out. Shake it off. I never miss a beat. I'm lightning on my feet. And that's what they don't see.